On our continuing series, Forever Perfect, managing the stress of PMS. Most women experience some premenstrual symptoms, but 7% of women have such severe discomfort that it actually disrupts their lives. But there are ways to control it. Stephanie Bender, founder of the Full Circle Women's Health Clinic in Boulder, Colorado, is the author of PMS, Women Tell Women How to Control Premenstrual Syndrome. Stephanie, welcome back.
Thank you.
How does stress contribute to PMS?
Well, it ups the ante with everything. So anything that is happening in a woman's life that is going to be occurring premenstrually is going to seem worse. So those little things turn into big things, and it just tips the ship upside down.
I'm just curious, does stress actually have a physiological impact on what a woman is suffering? It's not just in her head in terms of the stress factor. Obviously, PMS is physiological,
right.
But does it actually exacerbate the physical symptoms?
Sure, because the hormones, which are, of course, made by our bodies, are married to the neurotransmitters, which are chemicals that our brain makes, and that determines our mood. So all of those things have an impact, including things such as food cravings, headaches. All of those kinds of things are going to increase. As we know, headaches have a very strong stress component as well. If you have premenstrual headaches, they're usually going to be one of the big signals for her.
This can really wreak havoc on a woman's relationships with her friends, her spouse, her children, correct?
Right, it does. I think that the #1 most reported reason for women seeking help with PMS is that they're very concerned about their parenting, if that's one of their roles, their relationships. So they're more concerned with the psychological aspect of it than they are the physical aspect of it. They'll tell me they can live with those symptoms, but they can't stand what the other symptoms are doing in their lives.
Before we get to managing stress and PMS, you advise women to keep a simple diary.
Right.
What should they be recording? What should they be looking for?
Okay, first of all, it has to be simple, because if it isn't simple, she's not going to do it. So don't add more stress by telling yourself you're going to keep a list of 20 things. Pick out 4. Pick out 2 psychological symptoms that are most problematic for you, such as cyclical irritability or cyclical anxiety. Pick out 2 physical symptoms, such as headaches or insomnia. And then every day, give them a number from 0 to 5, so that it's something very, very simple. That's 4 numbers a day. If everything's great, put down a great big 0. If you want to do more narrative, great, that's fine. But keep it simple so you have an objective record. When you go back, our lives are too complicated today, so we have to have something we can go back and look at and really see, oh yeah, that's what was going on then.
And really, it is PMS, and it's not just something I'm feeling all the time.
Exactly.
You can really differentiate.
Exactly. And you can't differentiate unless you have that kind of a roadmap.
We've also got some other tips, Stephanie. Let's go through them quickly if we could. Review stress in non-PMS phase. In other words, the diary helps you do that, correct?
Right.
Realistically assess expectations. What do you mean by that?
Well, you know, we expect ourselves today to work 12-hour days and then go home and work 3 or 4 hours when we get home and then get up and do it all tomorrow. So that's not a realistic expectation.
Don't work overtime to get ahead. In other words, when you're not suffering from PMS, don't try to do twice as much to compensate for the times you are.
Otherwise, you lose the good times.
Don't take extra work home during PMS?
Yeah. A lot of people do that because what they think is, well, you know, again, this is my good time. I'm going to work ahead.
Discuss PMS with your family. Explain it to them.
Incredibly important.
But you don't want your children to have to worry about you, do you? I mean, how do you do that?
No, and you don't ask them to worry about you. What you say is, you know, this is an issue that I'm dealing with. I have an imbalance, and this is what I'm doing to try and get that imbalance taken care of. It's not asking them to take care of you. It's being a role model, showing them that you can take good care of yourself. And it's also really claiming responsibility for that and not saying, you know, you're the cause of my problems, which a lot of children think that they are. So real important to establish that.
That actually is a good point, because you don't want them to feel guilty, like it's their fault.
You don't want them to take it on. Right.
Let's talk about the foods to avoid real quickly. Caffeine, alcohol, artificial sweeteners. I never heard that. Even NutraSweet? Well, no, because that's what it said in my notes. And all kinds of artificial sweeteners. Sugary foods are bad. And salty foods. The jury seems to be out on that.
The jury is out.
Salty foods are not a good thing?
I still think that, you know, from the clients that we see at the clinic, we see a tremendous amount of bloating and fluid retention with too much salt. But even if you don't have PMS, you know, we eat far too much salt in the American diet anyway.
And the good news is the medical community is more and more treating this as a very serious thing.
And the good news is women are networking and figuring out that we don't have to live with this. There are things that we can do.
All right. Stephanie Bender, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with more right after this.